What up, players? What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to grow your Instagram account. First off, I just want to say I know this is kind of a vain or shallow topic. A lot of people think they're too cool for school. So if you're like too punk rock, or you don't care about this and you don't care about anything, please just take your vintage band tee and your canvas tote to the nearest museum to like look at a painting or something, because we don't need that negative energy in here. And for those of you that do care about growing your Instagram accounts and gaining more followers and putting more eyes on whatever type of content or things you're sharing on there, welcome. I do want to say there is a balance between this. You shouldn't be ashamed of caring about having a social platform that grows, but at the same time, you don't want it to consume everything. If you're a little bit younger, maybe you're 16, 17, you don't have like a serious spouse or a serious job yet, or you're still in school, you can get away with a lot more than us adults can. So yeah, don't be ashamed of wanting your social platforms to grow, but at the same time, there is a balance, so also don't let it consume you. With all that being said, let's go ahead and hop into all of the things that I did to grow my account to over 100,000 followers. First things first, I kind of want to talk a little bit about the trajectory of my Instagram account personally, the ups and the downs, both emotionally and numerically, and kind of how long it took me to get there and what that kind of looked like. So although I did download the app, Instagram, in like 2013, and I was posting on it, I definitely wasn't taking it serious until 2015 when I went on my first ever photography trip, and I went and traveled somewhere specifically to take photos on an iPhone for Instagram, which is so crazy to think about. Today it seems more normal, but at the time, my parents definitely thought I was losing my mind. I remember specifically my goal, and I'll never forget this, my goal of hitting 100 likes on an Instagram photo. One really funny part of this story is I remember a side note, rabbit trail. I remember driving from my college town one weekend to Washington, D.C. To take photos and just hang out with some people. And I remember taking a photo of the Washington Monument in D.C. in America's capital. And it was on my iPhone 5. And I mean, this was a banger. I don't even think I can find it, but for me, it was like the best photo I had ever taken. I was using the Instagram OG filters only. I didn't even know how to edit on apps yet. But man, this one, I'm telling you, it was the one. So I tee up that Washington, D.C. banger, let it fly to the public, and it only got 70 likes. But I kept trucking, I kept learning. I eventually found an app called ViscoCam. I was connecting with people who were way better than I was. I was soaking up all the information I could. It was way easier to reach out to people back in the day and just say, hey, can you give me some tips on how to make my photos look better, this, that, and the other. Now let's take a look at a little bit of a graph or some numbers going up of how my Instagram account finally started to grow. I eventually built up my Instagram account to 8,000 followers, which at that time, I hit the Instagram lottery and was put on the Instagram suggested user list. After hitting the Instagram suggested user list lottery, Instagram put me on that special list for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks of being on that list, I grew from 8,000 followers to 52,000 followers. About this same time, I was really kind of finding my niche and my style and my lane in adventure photography, outdoor photography, landscape, whatever you want to call it. And there was a specific fall or the season autumn where I just went as hard as I possibly could. And every single weekend I was out taking photos at the best spots, sending all the photos to feature accounts, doing literally everything I could to get my work out on different Instagram accounts. It literally was the worst fall of my entire life, and I swore that I would never go that hard again, but I did end up growing my account in like a 6-month time span from summer until the winter, from 52,000, 53,000-ish followers all the way up to 77,000 followers. After hitting 77,000 followers, I actually ended up in a completely hilarious stretch of my Instagram career that many of my friends know, where I literally got stuck in the 70,000s for what felt like years, but was actually probably over a year. After being stuck in the 70,000s for quite some time, I went to New York City and met a guy named William Vanderbeek, and he told me that I should start a YouTube channel. I shared with Mr. Vanderbeek that I had been obsessed with YouTube for a long time, and I had been watching his channel since he had like 1 sub, and I had been watching negative feedback for years and years, but I was just way too scared to get on camera and what people would think about that. and all the excuses in the world. I ended up coming home, finding a buddy to help me start a YouTube channel, and I started this YouTube channel all about photography, film photography, and you guys know the vibes. And after starting this YouTube channel, I finally, for the first time in many years, was seeing consistent growth day by day, week by week, month by month, and eventually I hit 100,000 followers. So that's kind of the quick story of my trajectory and the numbers that I was kind of hitting along the way, and those were just the numbers that stood out to me. So I kind of wanted to share that with you guys to let you know it wasn't just like, oh, I downloaded this app and I started taking pictures and it was just to the moon. It was definitely more like 5 years of ups and downs and learning a lot of stuff along the way. So now that we've talked about that, I want to talk to you guys about all of the specific things that I learned on this journey to getting past 100,000 followers, and hopefully some of them will help you. I'm sure that you've heard some of them before, but I'm sure some of them I might speak about a little bit more candidly or honestly, and hopefully it will give you some ideas that could maybe spark a little juice or inject a little bit of life into your Instagram accounts. First and foremost, the first thing that you want to kind of analyze or take note or just take an honest gut-wrenching assessment about your Instagram account is your work good? This is the one that's the least fun to talk about, but this is the one that is by far the most important. Early on in my Instagram days in 2015, I met a guy named Matt G, who is still to this day one of my closest friends in the entire world. But Matt taught me definitely the most important lesson of Instagram if you're wanting to grow, and that is that to some degree, you do kind of need to treat this like a portfolio. I know a lot of people will push back on that idea and say, no, that's not right. Portfolios are made for a website and they should be a more curated thing, and it shouldn't be your Instagram. But again, this is all subjective and you can choose to use your Instagram however you want. And I chose to use mine in a way that it was a pretty strict standard about what I post. We all know that art is subjective, meaning that there is no proper definition of what is good or bad. There are a lot of things in life, like say math, where you have these objective truths where if I said 1 + 1 = zebra, you would know that that's just not true. But when it comes to photos or sharing music or whatever you're trying to create, at the end of the day, one person might think, hey, this is great, and another person might think, hey, this sucks. But if it's just your mom that thinks your photos are cool and you can't seem to get any traction or any love from other people, I'm not saying that means your photos are bad, but I do think that would be kind of an indicator that you might need to look around and see, you know, how can I continue to work on my craft and make my photos better? So yeah, evaluate your work, get critique from people that you trust, and yeah, have some good photos. Or cookies, or whatever you're posting about. The next thing I would say is to kind of find your niche or your own lane. I'm a pretty scatterbrained person, so I'd be the first person to say I wish I could post about whatever I want. I wish I could post about making videos, making photos, making music. But at the end of the day, you kind of need to find your lane and focus on it. Me, for example, my niche has always been photography, and then later, as I was already a couple years at least well into the Instagram game, I found this cute little niche that I love so much called film photography. This was a much smaller community, and it really allowed me to find other people that were interested in a very specific type of photography, which made building relationships easier, it made supporting one another easier, and at the end of the day, the film photography community is largely responsible for a lot of the growth that I've had on social. Shout out to y'all. So yeah, find your niche, find a community that you can kind of embed yourself in, and don't be discouraged if nobody in that community is taking notice of you, but it's a lot easier to get in a smaller community or niche as opposed to just trying to be the photographer that does everything well. So one practical piece of advice for this would be, if you're into portraits, go find other dudes or girls or people that are killing it in portrait photography. If you're into outdoor photography or landscape photography, try and find other like-minded photographers. So find that lane and put it in high gear, and yeah, consistency. If you pull up into any single video on YouTube right now that's gonna tell you how to gain followers, they are gonna say consistency. So I hate to say this, but it's just true. In 2021, I don't think that you have to post once a day every single day of the week, or definitely not 2 times a day. When I was coming up in these Instagram streets in like 2014, 2015, you could post 2 and 3 times a day and get, you know, away with it. But now we got kids TikToking, we're Snapchatting, we're YouTubing, we're Instagramming, we're tweeting, we're Facebooking, we're we're clubhousing, we're doing everything. And so I think people kind of get sick of seeing the same person's content every single day, unless you're just like posting banger after banger after banger. But I don't know about you, but I'm not that confident. So even on a good week, I'm probably posting 3 or 4 times a week, which for me and where I'm at feels good. But yeah, you can't rock up to the scene on Instagram and post once every 75 days and expect for people to follow along and be consistent in supporting you by leaving comments or tapping that little heart on your picture. So plan ahead, do what you can to make photos consistently. And the good news about this is if you're going to be active on social consistently, that means you need to be creating consistently, which means your work will be getting better, because the only way to get better is to do it all the time. Monitoring what does well. This is another controversial one that all of these dudes who are like too cool for school are going to say like, this is dumb, you should post what you like. And I'm with you. I do think you should post what you like on your socials. But at the end of the day, you have to come to the realization that if you want your social to grow, it is important to take note of what photos are doing well and realize that. Let me give a practical example. On my Instagram account, if I post a landscape photo with good light from a popular spot, I know that that photo could get 10,000 likes or more. But I know that if I post a portrait of a really good looking man, say Alex, and it's a really great portrait and I like it and I think it's cool, I just know that that photo is probably gonna get half the engagement that my landscapes are. That doesn't mean that I'm not sharing portraits on my Instagram. That just means that I'm not gonna rip off like 10 portraits in a row. So I'm not saying to stress about this or live and die about this particular one, but you would be fooling yourself if you said, I'm never gonna monitor the posts that do the best for me and not trying to recreate those in similar fashion. Funneling people from other platforms to your Instagram. As I said earlier, my Instagram. As I said a minute ago, my Instagram was basically dead until I started this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel allowed me to find people and for people to find me that would have never been possible if I was solely posting on Instagram. I'm constantly posting on Twitter, sometimes even Facebook groups about film photography, on YouTube, and I'm always letting people know about my Instagram account because I want it to grow. I'm sure a lot of people, when they see my YouTube videos here, they think it's annoying that I put my Instagram down in the bottom of the videos. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna waste this opportunity to find one more person who might rock with my stuff on IG. So yeah, even if your accounts aren't big in other places and you're trying to grow those as well, let all of the accounts grow together. Hashtags. Hashtag film is not dead. Hashtag Kodak Portra 400. Hashtag Mamiya 7. Hashtag made on film. Hashtag Leica. Hashtag Joe Greer. Hashtag Wolfenbanger. Hashtags definitely aren't popping like they used to. Back in the day, you could have this very specific curated list of hashtags and it would allow you to be noticed by feature accounts, which would reshare your images and allow you to get a lot of engagement. The reality is, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, it's definitely not like the glory days. Even being reshared by some of the biggest accounts, you might get 20 followers here, 30 followers there, which at the end of the day, I'll still take it, but it's definitely just not as good as it once was. But I'm still using them. All of my hashtags pertain to film. I'm always posting about popular cameras, popular film stocks, and I'm just constantly looking at what are other hashtags that I feel like people are active on. If somebody is scrolling hashtag film is not dead and I'm confident that my photo is going to stand out and pop with good color while they're scrolling, then if they stop and follow me, that's just one new follower that I can now try and earn their trust and see if they'll stick around. Giveaways. Giveaways have helped my account like tremendously in the last probably 6 to 12 months. I know a lot of people think it may be silly to go and spend $100, $150 on camera and film to give away to your audience, but that ain't me. I think it's actually a great way to give back as well as get new followers. The one thing that I will say about giveaways that I think a lot of people don't take into account is that you need to be ready to capitalize on those new people who are seeing your photos like ASAP. A lot of times people are so hip to giveaways these days, they'll follow, when they don't win, they'll dip. So my goal is always to, after the giveaway is over, make sure that I have a lot of photos that I'm really proud of and I think represent my work well and that are just sick photos. And I'm hoping that if I gain 500 followers from the giveaway, that maybe half of them will stay. But I always give my cameras and the film away, so I'm getting to give back to you guys as well as picking up some new followers, hopefully. Responding to comments. When my Instagram account was growing and I wasn't getting a lot of likes, say 100 likes, 150 likes, I was responding to every single comment that came my way. Nowadays, it's a little bit harder because I'm grown up, I have a wife, I've got like 70 different jobs, it feels like sometimes, so I can't always go through and respond to 75 comments, but I still definitely try and hit it early in the post when it's like 5 or 10 minutes in. Some people say that helps with the algorithm. I don't know if that's true because I don't think anybody knows what's going on with any of these algorithms. But yeah, if I was starting out all over again, I would say respond to those comments, and this is why. Because at the end of the day, the community is what matters. Instagram has become this complete cesspool of advertisements and people trying to climb the ladder, and it's all about likes. And I'll be the first to admit, man, there's been times where I've cared way more about the likes than I should have. Thankfully, my old age kind of pushed me out of that because I just don't have the emotional energy to spend on it anymore. But Instagram was founded as a place where people could post photos and share stuff about their day and come together and make new friends. And that's what made it sick, and that's still what is the best thing about it if you choose to make it that way. If you want to find the community, I'm confident that you can still find them. I know that because I got into film photography 4 years and have made some of my best friends through that community. So at the end of the day, just remember that by responding to that comment, it could make you a new friend, and you'd rather have that one new friend following along and you following along with them and giving each other gas on your photos than picking up some dude coming through saying fire tones bro, or somebody commenting just to try and get more followers. So yeah, that's kind of how I made it to 100,000 plus followers on Instagram. I know it's a lot, and I don't want anybody to feel ashamed about this because I feel like we're kind of in this space in 2021 where caring about your social media isn't cool, but the reality is that social can still lead to new friends, it can still lead to getting jobs, and lead to a lot of other really great things. It can, however, to reiterate, be a terrible situation if you begin to care about it more than you should, because whatever you believe the point of life is or the purpose of our lives, I don't think that we were meant to transform ourselves or find all of our identity in these digital spaces. So I will say, especially if you're a little bit younger, maybe not as old as me, getting closer to age 30, try to make that divide. Try and make it a healthy thing in your life where you say, hey, I feel like this could be important to my career, or I want it to grow, I want to meet new friends. And all of that is totally cool. But at the end of the day, we're all more than a number, and there's been many a good soldier, myself included, that have gone way too far down that path. And yeah, don't start this whole comparison game or feeling like your work is not good because you don't have a lot of followers or likes, because it's just not true. Plenty of my favorite photographers that are far better than me get far less attention than I do on Instagram, so don't find your worth in all that garbage. If you guys enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it. Leave me that like. Subscribe if you haven't already. My last video did really good in terms of views, and I was super stoked on that, so I appreciate that. Thank you guys for coming by as always, and we'll see you again hopefully soon for another video. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. You already know what it do.